Imagine waking up tomorrow with every memory erased. You know your name. You recognize your reflection. You can speak, walk, and think. But everything else is gone. The heartbreaks, the victories, the fears, the disappointments, the moments that shaped you. Would you still be the same person? Most people would immediately say yes. But would you? Because the truth is that much of who you are today is not determined by what is happening around you. It is determined by what has happened within you. Every human being carries an invisible world. A world no one else can fully see. A world hidden beneath smiles, achievements, conversations, and daily routines. It is the world of the soul. And whether we realize it or not, the soul quietly influences almost every decision we make. The way you respond to criticism, the people you trust, the relationships you choose, the dreams you pursue, the fears that keep you awake at night, the anger you struggle to control, the insecurities you hide from others. All of these things are connected to a mystery most people rarely stop to consider. The mystery of the soul. For centuries, philosophers, theologians, and thinkers have asked the same question. What makes a human being who they are? Is it the body? The mind? The brain? Or is there something deeper? Something invisible? Something that cannot be measured? Something that exists beneath the surface? Think about it. Two people can experience the exact same event and emerge completely different. One child grows up in poverty and becomes resilient. Another grows up in poverty and becomes bitter. One person experiences rejection and develops compassion. Another experiences rejection and develops walls around their heart. Life does not simply happen to us. Life happens within us. And the soul records everything. Every painful word. Every act of kindness. Every betrayal. Every moment of acceptance. Every victory. Every failure. Like an unseen archive, the soul stores experiences and quietly turns them into beliefs. Over time, those beliefs become lenses. And those lenses become the way we see the world. A child repeatedly told they are worthless may grow into an adult who constantly doubts themselves. Not because they are actually worthless, but because the soul has accepted a story. A story repeated so often that it begins to feel like truth. Another person may spend years trying to prove their value through success. The promotions, the money, the recognition, the applause. Yet no achievement ever feels enough. Because the soul is still searching for something it never received. Validation. Acceptance. The behavior is visible. The wound is hidden. And this is where the mystery begins. Because most people spend their lives trying to fix visible problems while ignoring invisible causes. We focus on the fruit, but rarely examine the root. We see anger, but not the hurt beneath it. We see arrogance, but not the insecurity hiding behind it. We see control, but not the fear driving it. We see addiction, but not the emptiness feeding it. Again and again, humanity attempts to solve outward symptoms while remaining blind to inward realities. Yet the soul continues speaking. Not with words, but through patterns, through reactions, through desires, through fears, through habits. The soul leaves clues everywhere. The question is whether we are paying attention. Have you ever wondered why certain comments affect you so deeply? Why some criticisms linger in your mind for years? Why certain memories refuse to let go? Why one person's opinion can ruin your entire day? The answer often lies deeper than the moment itself. Sometimes the present awakens something buried in the past. A forgotten wound. An old fear. A story the soul never stopped believing. And suddenly a simple event feels much bigger than it should. Not because of what happened, but because of what it touched. The soul remembers, even when the mind tries to forget. This is why healing is often more complicated than people imagine. Time alone does not heal everything. Some wounds simply become quieter. Some fears simply become better hidden. Some scars become part of our identity. And many people spend years adapting to pain instead of addressing it. They learn to function, to survive, to move forward. Yet, deep within, something remains unresolved. The soul waits, waiting to be understood, waiting to be healed, waiting to be free. But there is another side to this mystery. Not everything stored within the soul is painful. The soul also remembers beauty, wonder, purpose, courage, faith. Every act of kindness leaves a mark. Every moment of genuine love leaves an imprint. Every sacrifice, every lesson, every victory over fear. These things shape us as well. The soul is not merely a collection of wounds. It is also a collection of possibilities. A place where darkness and light continually compete for influence. And perhaps that is why human beings are so fascinating. Within every person exists a battlefield invisible to the world. A battle between fear and courage, bitterness and forgiveness, despair and hope, selfishness and love. The outcomes of these battles determine far more than we realize. They shape the course of entire lives. Yet perhaps the most mysterious thing about the soul is this. Many people know exactly what they should do, and still struggle to do it. They know forgiveness would bring peace, yet they hold on to resentment. They know honesty is better than deception, yet they choose lies. They know courage would set them free, yet fear keeps them trapped. Because knowledge alone does not transform the soul. Information can change the mind, but transformation reaches deeper. It touches identity, beliefs, desires, the hidden places beneath the surface. And this is why real change is often difficult. Because changing behavior is easier than changing the stories we believe about ourselves. The person who sees themselves as unlovable may sabotage healthy relationships. The person who sees themselves as powerless may never pursue their dreams. The person who believes they are beyond redemption may never seek healing. Not because these things are true, but because the soul has accepted them as truth. And whatever the soul believes eventually influences how a person lives. Perhaps this is why some of life's greatest breakthroughs happen not when circumstances change, but when understanding changes. When someone finally realizes, I'm not my fear. I'm not my past. I am not my failures. I am not the labels others placed on me. I am more than the stories that wounded me. In that moment, something shifts. A new story begins. A deeper truth emerges. The soul starts to awaken. And maybe that is what this journey is really about. Not becoming someone else, but discovering who you were meant to be all along. Because beneath every habit is a belief. Beneath every belief is a story. And beneath every story is a soul searching for meaning. Searching for purpose. Searching for truth. Searching for home. So the next time you find yourself reacting in a way you cannot explain, the next time fear holds you back, the next time an old pattern resurfaces, pause for a moment. Look deeper. Ask yourself a question few people ever ask. What is happening beneath the surface? Because the greatest mysteries in life may not be hidden in ancient ruins, distant galaxies, or forgotten civilizations. They may be hidden within us. Within the invisible world we call the soul. And perhaps understanding that mystery is the first step toward understanding ourselves. Because the answer to why you act the way you do may not be found around you. It may be found within you. And that is where the deepest mysteries unfold. But if the soul influences so much of our lives, another question naturally follows. What forms the soul in the first place? Are we simply born the way we are? Or are we gradually shaped into the people we become? The answer may be more complex than most realize. Imagine the soul as a vast landscape. When a child enters the world, that landscape is largely untouched. But with every experience, something is added. Every word becomes a seed. Every relationship leaves a footprint. Every environment contributes a layer. And over time, the landscape begins to take shape. The first architects of the soul are often the people closest to us. Long before we understand language, we are already learning. Long before we can explain emotions, we are already absorbing them. A child may not remember every conversation, but the soul remembers how those conversations felt. Did they feel safe? Did they feel loved? Did they feel seen? Or did they feel ignored? Rejected? Unwanted? These experiences begin forming invisible beliefs. Beliefs that often remain hidden for years. A child consistently encouraged may develop confidence. A child constantly criticized may develop self-doubt. Neither process happens overnight. The soul is shaped gradually, often without awareness. And this shaping does not stop in childhood. Every season of life leaves its mark. Friendships, heartbreaks, failures, successes, losses, rejections, celebrations. The soul records them all. But if the soul can be wounded, how does it heal? This question has followed humanity for centuries. People have searched for healing in success, in money, in relationships, in pleasure, in achievement. Yet countless people who possess all these things still carry broken souls. Because the soul cannot be healed by replacing what was lost with something external. The wound may be invisible, but the healing must reach just as deep. Healing begins with awareness. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. A wound hidden in darkness cannot be treated. It can only continue influencing your life from behind the scenes. The first step toward healing is seeing clearly. Seeing the fear, the pain, the resentment, the grief, the lies you have believed, the stories that have shaped your identity. Not to condemn yourself, but to understand yourself. Because what is understood can be transformed. But awareness alone is not enough. The soul also needs truth. For years, a person may believe they are unworthy because they were rejected. They may believe they are unloved because they were abandoned. They may believe they are weak because they have failed. But rejection does not determine worth. Abandonment does not determine value. Failure does not determine identity. Healing begins when truth confronts the lies the soul has accepted. And then comes one of the most difficult parts of all. Forgiveness. Not because what happened was acceptable. Not because justice does not matter. But because resentment keeps the wound alive. The person who hurt you may leave your life. But bitterness allows them to continue living inside your soul. Forgiveness is not always a single moment. Sometimes it is a journey. A decision made repeatedly. A release of a burden that was never meant to be carried forever. The soul also heals through love. Not shallow affection. Not temporary attention. But genuine love. The kind of love that says, you are seen. You are known. You are valuable. You are not alone. Many wounds are born in isolation. And many heal in connection. Healing often happens in the presence of safe people. People who listen. People who understand. People who remind us that we do not have to carry our burdens by ourselves. Yet perhaps the deepest healing comes when the soul discovers meaning. Because suffering without meaning creates despair. But suffering with meaning can create wisdom. The scar remains, but it becomes part of a larger story. A story of growth. A story of resilience. A story of transformation. And for millions throughout history, this is where faith enters the picture. Faith offers something extraordinary. The belief that your wounds are not the end of your story. That your failures do not define you. That your brokenness is not beyond redemption. That even the darkest chapters of your life can be transformed into something meaningful. Perhaps this is why healing is rarely instant. The soul heals much like a tree grows. Slowly, quietly, often unnoticed. Until one day you realize that what once controlled you no longer does. What once shattered you no longer owns you. What once defined you no longer defines you. And in that moment, you understand something profound. The soul was never meant to remain wounded forever. It was created to heal, to grow, to become whole. And that journey begins the... Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Join us as we continue to explore what's beyond the surface.